Hello to all of our LifeSide viewers. This is Louis Kanufke reporting from Rome. We're joined today by church historian Justin Lana on the occasion of the swearing in of the Swiss Guard on May 6th. We're present here near the Vatican. Behind us is the great fortress of Castel Sant'Angelo, where one of the great feats of the Swiss Guard took place back in the early 1500s. So I'm going to hand things off now to our guest.
We have the annual swearing-in ceremony in Rome at the Vatican, where the new soldiers from Switzerland is coming and being sworn in. The history of this small army is fascinating. It goes back to the early 16th century and from the later part of the Middle Ages. The Swiss had created this great reputation of being professional soldiers that you hire as mercenaries. Kings throughout Europe, princes, hire Swiss mercenaries to serve them. And one great example, besides the Swiss Guard here in Rome, is how the French kings hired the Swiss. It was the Swiss mercenary army that defended the palace in Paris during the French Revolution. And 600 of the 900 Swiss soldiers that were there sacrificed themselves to protect the palace of the king. So they had this unquestionable loyalty, total loyalty to the person that were hiring them. And this was also why, in the early 16th century, with Pope Julius II, when he wanted a private bodyguard, a private army to protect his person, it was the Swiss. In 1506, he gets the first soldiers, Swiss soldiers, coming to Rome, and they establish their presence in the Vatican, and there's 200 of them. A bit later, in 1527, you have this terrible thing happening here in Rome, what we call the sack of Rome. The sack of Rome is the mutinous army of the Holy Roman Emperor Charles V. His army had not been paid properly, so they commit mutiny. They close to Rome, so they start pillaging the city. The Pope here was taken by surprise. So Pope Clement VII in the Vatican had to flee to Castel Sant'Angelo, the fortress behind us here. The Swiss Guards has to stop the army, this overwhelming army of tens of thousands of soldiers. 147 of them, including the commander, gave their lives, stopping this vast army, but just enough time for the Pope, together with the soldiers that's left, the 47 soldiers, able to flee here to Castel Sant'Angelo. But this heroic sacrifice of these Swiss Guards on May 6, 1527, has gone into history as a great sacrifice to the church. And it's also why we, on Friday, will have the inaugural service for the new soldiers on May 6th. It is to commemorate these soldiers in 1527 that gave their lives to protect the Pope. Then move on to the Second World War. The Swiss Guard, they are trained soldiers. When the German forces invades Rome, they are ready. They are ready to protect the Pope of these overwhelming forces. But as we know, Hitler did not order the attack on the Vatican State. Another thing that's also very important in the history of the Swiss Guard is in 1981. What is happening then is the assassination attempt on Pope John Paul II. And it is the Swiss Guard that comes to his rescue. And particularly after that incident, the military aspect of the Swiss Guard has been more emphasized. They are trained in martial arts. They're trained in dealing with mobs, mob violence. They might look like coming from the theater with these bizarre uniforms, but they are highly trained military soldiers. The current uniform was designed in the early 20th century using a Renaissance inspiration. They're actually looking at the frescoes of Raphael on looking at how these uniforms looked. The colors, very unique. This dark blue, orange, and the red color is the color of the Medici family. Now on Friday, we will also see that they will be wearing metal breastplate. These are from the 1600s. This is the highlight of the year for the Swiss Guard. When the new recruits are being sworn in, you will see that they hold their hand on the flag and they will have 3 fingers up. The 3 fingers resembles the 3 persons of the Trinity, and they swear allegiance to the Pope to death. So we really need to thank these young men that dedicate time, years of their young life, to serve the church and the person of the Pope. Pray for them. They are doing a great service for the church.